Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's stream, the return of both Greg and the Talking Head streams. Today we're going to be going through mostly Greg's time at Home Nations, which was the international tournament that happened this weekend. I will hopefully be doing a similar segment of my own experiences there as well. If you want to hear more about that, make sure you like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you don't miss that. It's the best way to support the channel for free. If you would like to support the channel in other ways, you can do so with memberships and super chats. These are directly throwing money at my head to help produce the stream and let me know that you guys are enjoying the content. If you'd like to support the channel indirectly, then please check in the links below. You will find two links. One of those is the Mighty Media affiliate link, so I will get a little bit of kickback if you use that link, and you'll be able to go and buy some Warhammer at a discount price. If you do not like the Warhammer models, or if you just want some specific models for like your Dungeons and Dragons gameplay or whatever game system you want to play, there is also a link to Resin Wargames. Nathan, who was on the channel the other week, it is his business. We are looking at getting either a discount code or an affiliate link set up for you guys as well, so that you can get a little bit of love that way. But do go check him out, go support him. He's a lovely human being, and he's just taken the very scary leap to make it his full-time job. So any support we can give him is probably much appreciated. Right. With all that YouTubery stuff out of the way, we have Greg. Greg, welcome back to the channel. How you been doing?
Hello. I have been good. I'm just getting over the weekend, tired as we just discussed, but getting there. I feel a bit more normal. Having the extra day off because of the bank holiday.
Yes. Oh yeah, it was Easter, wasn't it? It was very nice. I think I slept for most of it as well. It was very, very good. But yes, Greg has obviously been away from the channel for quite a while, but this was largely due to the fact that you play for Team England now. And since I play for Team Ireland, there's quite a lot of stuff that we can't talk about, and a lot of the testing does go on behind closed doors. So
I kind of miss it. I'm not going to lie. It sucks.
It's all right. We'll figure something out. I'm sure we can.
I just can't bounce ideas off you anymore. It's just not something I can do. I've got other people. No. I've got a massive pool of people to do it off now, but obviously we're friends, and it's just a shame that I can't do that with you anymore. But
but there's hopefully we can find a middle ground where you do come on the stream again with stuff that is either a known quantity or something. But yeah, we won't be able to. We used to, go to the gym and sit and talk about lists in between lifting weights because
and you'd send me ideas. I'd go bang, oh that's good, that's bad, and we just can't do that anymore.
I'd send you an idea and you go, that's awful. Next one. But yeah, it's a shame, but it's also really good to see you at the event. We even had Gareth, who's been on the stream before as well for Team Wales. So that's 3 of DRG there, which was really fun to see.
It was cool.
Yeah, that was very, very cool. So what was Home Nations? It's a yearly sort of invitational, sort of not tournament. I think 6 nations, but for Warhammer, where there are the 5 home nations: Scotland, England, Wales, Northern Ireland, and Ireland, plus 3 invitational. 3 invitational countries. Is it 3 or is it 2? No, it's 3. Every year, and we change who hosts it. So last year Ireland hosted it. This year England's turn to host it, and then next year it's Northern Ireland, for example. So the teams in attendance this year, from the invitational side of it, was the United States of America, Belgium, and the Netherlands. So the home nations plus some. Always good to see them. Belgium and the Netherlands were there last year and did very well, and the US obviously is always. I found it really exciting for them to come over because we don't usually play against that kind of. They have a very different meta and play style than we do over in Europe. So that was a great experience. Okay, so Greg, you were on the Votan for England, but it's not the normal Votan. It was the Grotmus detachment.
The Votan, yeah, that's the end of the stream.
Just Votan. That's it. It was a Greg list of here's 20 Terminators and some angry rumbling, but with a twist. But before we get into that, do you want to talk a bit about how you found the experience, how Team England approached it? What was your team comp? Obviously, what you can say and what you.
Oh, I've got to be careful putting on the spot. Okay. Approach-wise, it was just lots of prep, as you'd expect, more than I'm used to. Everything I have done with England has been more prep than I've ever been used to before, which is pretty expected and obvious, I think. I've learned so much. I've been doing this process now for 6 months, I think. I've been in the application process, so it's been a long time. We find out tomorrow who's making the squad, I believe.
Very exciting. So.
So
Hopefully, we will be celebrating with you tomorrow.
hopefully. So yeah, it's been long and it has been hard, but it's also been fun. Like that's the most important part. There's not a single part of me that thinks, "Oh, I wish I wasn't doing this." I never felt like not doing it. It's just been fun the whole time. It's just it's not for the faint-hearted. If you don't want to play lots of Warhammer, then it's not for you.
Yeah,
But
it's a massive step up.
Yeah. And I've really enjoyed it. And as for Home Nations, yeah, we got the prep. So it was sort of like it seemed like they got a bunch of guys to go to Pyra, and then they've got a bunch of guys that didn't get to Pyra to play in this. It's sort of like how it left. A couple of people probably missed out, which is a bit of a shame, but that's just how it is sometimes. And then, yeah, so the comp was, well, the players were on our team. It was Naz, Courtney Rhodes, Nathan Roberts, Jack Tite, Jonathan Clark, myself, Tony, the captain, and embarrassing, I'm missing one person.
Dom Maidlow.
Dom Maidlow, of course. So that was our team. Do I have to go through all the factions? I suppose I should.
I can do it briefly, or if you want to go on it, we can.
No, I can remember. So Nathan was on like a CSM kind of soupy list.
Renegade Raiders with 18 Noise Marines, wasn't it?
Yeah, because unfortunately, Noise Marines are allowed to use. Yeah, everyone has got the same like scrunched up face when they hear it, but yeah, you can take
except for CSM players, because then they're like, yeah.
CSM are in a very, very good spot even before that.
Yes.
So now they've got very good combat and now some of the best shooting in the game as well. Comes AP3, 4 rerolls.
More in cover. It's
more in cover. And if you're in a Rhino, they can get the Dark Packs as well. So yeah, it becomes pretty brutal. So that's what he was on. He was on basically a CSM Raiders list plus Noise Marines. Pretty standard list, but the Noise Marines had Dom. Dom took Mechanized Guard. Courtney Rhodes is on Solar Spearhead.
Custodes player not taking Lions.
Yeah, and because he just didn't seem to gel with it, so he tried that and he loved it, and he did really well. Like he put in solid 10-10-10s pretty much every game. So
there's a lot to be said for don't play something because it's strong, play something because you're comfortable and you get on with it. Very, very.
I was genuinely impressed by what he did. Actually, I thought, even though he didn't do the sexy stuff, he came out with just solid scores every time. Pretty much.
Important.
Really
very
good.
Important.
We had Jack Tite on Tactical Orcs. Had Naz on Emperor's Children, which he's been loving.
Goes fast. He likes because he can win a game in 20 minutes.
Exactly. And he was taking some names beforehand, so we had high hopes for him, and he did perform really fucking well, as per usual. And then we had...
Tony was on Deathwatch.
Tony's on Deathwatch. Last minute switch from Yunari because he felt that everyone had sort of figured out Yunari. Still not sure, like if I think he's right, but I don't know if you can figure out Yunari enough to stop it doing what it wants to do anyway.
Yeah, I think by figured out, it's like so we Ireland took Yunari, and I know the US took Yunari as well, and generally they've underperformed compared to where they were a few weeks ago, and I think that's because not that they've been solved, but people can pair around them, and they people have figured out some good pairings for them where you just don't shoot them for 4 turns or you run at them and tag everything. So they have some more counterplay, and the meta sort of settled around them because we're seeing melee pressure come back into it. It feels like,
and I think he's right because like he took a more stable Deathwatch, and he put in the solid numbers. He didn't do the big numbers and get all the big wins, but he was like he took lots of matchups that were like no one else wanted, and he still got 9s out of it, which is
that's how you win
sometimes. What else did we have? We had
Death Guard from Jonathan.
Oh yeah, Death Guard from Jonathan. More of the not so the mech variety, but lots of Death Shroud. I didn't speak too much to Jonathan actually, so I can't comment on what the thinking is with that list. So I know there was lots of talk about Death Guard in our chat. There's lots of Death Guard players, so they all come to the conclusion that was the better way to do it. So that's the way I took it. And then I think it's just me then, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just you with the Votan. So let's get into the potatoes of it.
Yeah. So I took the Grotmus attachment, Hearthband, and everyone's like, it's terrible. I thought the same. I'm not going to sit here and go, I knew all along. No, I didn't. I thought it was awful too.
When you first came out, because we did have a discussion about it, I think the exact words were, it's got a very good core, but it just doesn't have judgment tokens, and that's a big problem for Votan when they don't have the generation consistently. But what changed your mind? What changed to make you take it and consider it again?
Well, obviously the changes helped. You have to judge two things. Was the most recent balance state slate they added, so you could start the game with two things fully judged. Well, that straight away can help, and it does help for sure. And also just the way I thought about the list as well. Like if you look at my list design, it's full of chaff, full of lots of MSU, which then go and force people to earn themselves some judgments, as it were.
Do you want to run through your list quickly then?
Sure. So top of my head, it's got 2 Carls and an Uther, which we'll go into in a little bit. We've got
the narrative division strikes again.
He's amazing. In this attachment he is anyway. I'll go through why in a sec. I've got 2 lots of warriors units, all with all the upgrades, and the weapons that chose all the melee weapons. Again, I'll go into why in a little bit. Then we've got 4 SAG, usual high las, casino cannons, just for all those things to sit in. 2 lots of berserkers, but with axes, not mauls. Again, I'll go
mortars. So if somebody does look at the list, that was
I made an area in the list. I'm with the bikes, which we'll go into a sec. And then I've got 2 big blobs of Hearthguard, again with plasma, not Volkite.
That's not the mistake. The list checking document was full of just question marks again. It's like, has he got the right detachment? Has he got the right war gear? Is this?
Yeah, it was like that.
Is this all intentional? It's quite amusing.
2 lots of bikes, the usual loadouts. The high las is missing the rotary cannon, but of course I've taken it. I just messed my list up, just put them back into it, and didn't add the war gear. And then some Jaegers with the usual loadouts. I've got melee loadouts for them. But yeah, so I'll go back through why I've taken things if you like.
Yeah, perfect.
No, the Carls joined the Hearthguard, obviously. Big reason in the lethal hits. So Hearthguard with lethal hits on the plasma become very strong. So let's go with the detachment, I guess, what it does. So if you are the closest eligible target, you'll get reroll 1s. The whole army gets that. If you are a Hearthguard, UFA, or Carl unit, you get +1 AP on top of that. Doesn't affect the blast weapons, sadly.
Does it still have to be the closest eligible for the +1?
Yeah, it's the same conditions. If the same conditions are met, you get the +1 AP as well. And all those conditions are met automatically if you're in melee. So it's...
Are they? That's good. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah.
Which is what a lot of people miss. It's like it just says, or if they're in melee or engaging.
Yeah, because it's not like if you charge 2 different units, which one's technically closer, right? So in melee, you get buff.
Yeah. I like. Okay. If engagement, you can fight. So there you go. That's that. And then, so the extra AP becomes quite potent with the... So then your plasma you've got on that unit becomes AP4, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, you're shooting at the one that's closest, and it gets lethals as well. So you can imagine, and then there's a strat, so you give them rapid fire, so that'd be 20 shots of plasma at AP4. So at that point, it becomes pretty potent and very, very good. The lethals are incredible in combat as well, because as I said, you get extra AP, so all of Hearthguard become AP3 and all their attacks, apart from the little hammer, which becomes AP2. It's still really good. The Carl's attacks become AP3 as well. And then there's a strat for +1 damage versus monsters and vehicles, 2 CP.
So you get into...
at that point, you've got your Hearthguard hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s usually, with lethals. Sometimes I might have 2 judgments, sometimes I'll have like just a 1. You can normally send it into something with 1. And it's AP3, flat 3 damage at that point. And then the little hammer is AP2, flat 4 damage, and the Carl is AP3, flat 4 damage.
So it goes to AP4, 4 damage, is it?
And that, going on to the U for that, that's what he does, He gets to AP4. So it's just awesome. I've really enjoyed it. So, and then you're thinking, well, what else? What Hearthguard is slow, how did they get there? Well, attachment comes with a nice 6-inch deep strike strat as well. So you can come in and you can get them into little, because they're only 32 mil, that catches a lot of people out. They think the C Terminator and they think 40 mil base. It's a 32 mil base for these.
They are 2 wounds, so they're a lot smaller than people think.
Mm-hmm. And they get into little gaps and they can fit into along the edges of the boards a lot better than people think and all that sort of stuff. So they become really useful. So what else in the list? We've got go back to the UFA. So UFA connects or attaches with a warrior unit, one of the melee warrior units. So all of a sudden then, as you've pointed out, UFA becomes AP4, rolling 1s in combat, gets his own flip as well with dead wounds, So you go into any sort of tank like a Predator or something, you can then spend, if you want to, spend the extra the CP on him, and he's like AP 4 flat 3 damage with a flip.
Does it give it to the melee weapons as well? Do they go to AP 3 damage? Oh no, the AP is only for half guard.
Yes. No, because it becomes a Carl unit.
Because it keys off the character. I see.
Mhm.
I see. So yeah, like I've always thought the kin melee weapons were very consistent. It's 3 attacks, 5/2/2, I think.
Yeah. So now you can make them little kin melee weapons. You think they're just throwaway weapons? You just took them on for the sake of it. They become strength 5, AP 3, flat 3 damage with that stratagem played on them, which is again really potent into some things. Catches people out. Definitely does. So yeah, there's lots of little tricks for it, and what else is useful? I mean, the rerolls just come up all the time, as you can imagine. The amount of times I rolled a reroll 1 with a highlights into a 6, which would have happened in the other detachment, because you just got more chances of rolling that 6.
People always seem to underestimate how good just reroll 1s are in general. I played Bridgehead. It makes things so much more consistent than people expect.
I was about to say, like, a lot of the inspiration, as it were, for like thinking why this could be good is Bridgehead with the plasma. You had like 10, 11 plasma, and that was good enough, right? And then
good enough is overkill.
And then you've got Emperor's Children. When I used to play, I played against Naz a few times, and I'm just getting the reroll 1s to hit. In the coterie when you get your buffs and you get plus what the reroll 1s to hit. The second you get that, you notice the damage ramps up, and I was like, well, I can get that, in my detachment. And then so I went back to try it out with I first started with 30 Terminators. It was too much.
Yeah.
Went to 20 with lots of chaff. And that's where I sat at for this event. I do think I'll split the Terminators into 10 and 2 5s as well, probably.
Do you ever look at getting an E-champ in there as like a skirmishing piece?
Yeah, there's lots of ideas I want to take this with. So a little bit of tech before. Maybe I'm sharing too much. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. But what I was doing was I had rather than a bike unit, I was taking a Carl and adding it to a unit of warriors with the rotary cannon and the high las. So it'd be like they're both 6 shots each in that range when you drop in. So then you give the Carl a teleport crest, so they get the teleport keyword, so they can then use the 6-inch deep strike. So they can drop in close enough to throw a grenade, which is quite nice, as anyone that's ever used that will tell you. And then it's like you've got the Carl's weapon, which is the Volkite, and you've got 12 shots that are AP2 at that point because it's a Carl. And you put the comms in there, or is it the scanner?
Scanner is ignore cover. Yeah.
Ignore cover. So strength 6, AP2, ignoring cover with judgments is it's pretty nice for a little 120 point unit. And it can 6-inch drop, fit in little areas. It's got OC2 units in there. I kind of regret taking it out last minute because that's what I was running with. And then
because you could give it, because they can take a plasma as well that can start to punch up as well, can't they? Which
is there's a few. Nice. I was toying with the high las and the plasma because the problem with the rotary kind of hits on 5s. It's a bit worse for some reason. So I think I might take the plasma in future because it has got the sustained D3 on it, so it can just do really nice sometimes. That's.
Axes on the.
Oh yeah, I didn't go over that. Generally, what you do is you go through and you find things because you don't get any judgments. There's no getting past that. It's not something you can lie and go, yeah, you get loads. You don't. You do feel a bit judgment stuff sometimes. Axes hit on 3s, not 4s. So you lose the potency of the 3 damage. But I did the math, and quite often it's better to have them than it is to have and they've got a different role. They skirmish rather than go after the big things. Like the big thing gets killed by the Sagittars and the Hearthguard.
Yeah, it feels like you've got the tools to deal with elite stuff. You need a bit more.
And the axes have got a sweet profile, so you go into some Eldar stuff or anything smaller, you can use that profile, or you can just go into Marines. You can just stay with the Strength 6 profile because it's then hitting on, if they've got 1 judgment, you're hitting on 2s, you're rolling 1s. And then if it's into a Marine profile and they've got 2 judgments, it's then winning on 2s still. So it's still a really good profile at 6/2/2 at that light. So it's it does, for what they are, like a little 100-point unit, they still do what they need to do and skirmish and punch up. And no one wants to run into one of those and fight with fire and death. So.
Yeah, and worst case, you can still get +1 damage and and you're laughing, right?
Exactly.
AP2,
Exactly.
damage 3. It's
Exactly, yeah.
chunky stuff.
Fortunately, they don't get the extra AP because you can't. There's no way of getting a character attached to them. But
they're better AP than Hammersworth to start with, aren't they? Axis?
AP2 the same.
Oh, they're the same, are they?
Yeah, both AP2.
Been a while since I ran them.
Yeah.
So,
if I have to make comparisons to the other detachment, which is probably what everyone's thinking, if anyone thinks to watch this, that would be the thing I miss the most is Sustain 2. However, while I was theory crafting this, it's like, yes, Sustain 2 on a bunch of bikes or a Hearthguard unit definitely does better than anything you can do with this detachment. However, when you shoot everything in your army, only one thing is getting that Sustain 2. The rest of the army then becomes worse than the reroll ones.
Yeah.
And the reroll ones really, really add up because because Votan is seen as a shooting army, but I like to play them very melee heavy as well. I have a combination of both, always have done. I think they're good at both phases. So that's what they use it for. Obviously, you get the reroll ones in all melee, and then on your way in, you get the reroll ones on most of the things you want to shoot at. So it really adds up compared to the normal detachment. You do feel the damage big time. I played a Chaos Knight player round 2. I don't know.
Belgium was round 2.
No, it was the Netherlands player, a guy called Ron.
Oh, you played Knights twice. Okay.
No, I played Orcs at round 2. Belgium. I only played Knights once, sadly.
Oh, I'm getting my names mixed up.
No. But yeah, he had no Knights left by 10-4. It was just brutal.
Yeah. Well, that's a convenient segue. Should we go through the rounds? How you got on?
Sure.
So, any particular round you want to start with, or do you want to just go with one and go through?
Well, I can go one if you want. I won't say too much on it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm an advocate of calling people out because they always say that, but now I sound like a hypocrite. I'd rather avoid the drama, as it were, at the moment.
Sure.
Not a good game. Let's just leave it at that, I suppose.
Okay. Yeah, we can just skip over that and go straight into game 2, which was against round 2 was Belgium, and you were against Pierre. He's with his Orcs.
Yeah, he called himself Vidar, which I'm not sure. It must be one of his nicknames or something. But he was a really
Vidar, yeah, I've heard that name more than I've heard.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. He was tactical Orcs. Votan have always done well into Orcs, in my opinion. So this detachment's no different. In fact, it's probably better than the other ones.
They're more elite than previous.
The only thing I've not really brought up is what you might miss is the Armor of Contempt versus the 4-up Invul. That's a nice little conversation to have about it, because obviously Armor of Contempt is really fucking good. There's no doubt about that, especially on 2-up saves and stuff. However, in the meta, I'm finding it's quite MSU, quite like shoot 5 noise greens at you and 5 tank busters, then another 5 tank busters, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, the single activation for Armor of Contempt is
exactly, and I'm finding I wasn't getting much use out of it. The 4-up Invul, you can play in any phase, and it lasts shooting in 5 phase, obviously, and it lasts the whole phase. So yes, it's better in some ways, and sometimes it's worse because it depends on what AP they're shooting you with. But generally, I can't lie, I did miss it. There are times when I'm like getting shot by AP1 stuff and I'm losing a few more Terminators than I'd like to. But overall, you don't miss it enough, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
I think it's nice.
If they hadn't changed,
I'd still be taking
the meta is very much at a point where it's like,
you're getting shot by 5 Dart Reapers and then 5 Fire Dragons and then 5 Banshees go into combat and another 5, and you just end up like not getting value out of it. So, so I really, really like that. So do I ever take my Team England shirt off? I only got this on Saturday. You gave it me, actually. This is the shirt.
I stole it, and we were going to go, let's take a team photo of the DRG guys, because Gareth had his hoodie on. I was like, all right, Gareth, you put this on, and then put the hoodie on. I would say, all right, let's take a photo of Greg. Oh, wait, let Gareth take his hoodie off. And then, he's wearing Greg's jumper or his T-shirt. And then negotiations broke down because nobody wanted to wear an England jersey, basically. But yes, so it's good.
Yeah, I'm proud of it.
I've seen how much work you've done behind the scenes. Like how much you've worked for it is a massive achievement. So I do hope that tomorrow we get the good news, and then I don't have to put with Grumpy Greg.
I'm always grumpy. That's my default setting.
That is the default setting. Yes. Okay, so round 2, you were into the Orcs, which was
so talk about the Orcs.
Fairly decent.
Yeah, it was a nice matchup. I think I picked board. which is quite important. I picked one that was open, and everyone looked at me funny, and I was like, "Trust me," because I just outshoot them basically. I just do.
Yeah.
They don't
Tactical
do it.
is still good shooting, but it's not Dakar Orcs, and
No,
therefore it looks reasonable.
anything I shoot an orc is good in my army. Literally anything. Like there isn't a single weapon I can shoot an orc and go, "Oh, that's crap." It's all like 2 damage, AP1, AP2. Like it all just does something, right? So
or it's got the blast keyword on grenade.
yeah, exactly. It just does really well into orcs, and I knew that. Went into it, and he was a good player. He did some good plays. Like if he wasn't as good as he was, I would have scored higher. But he did some pretty cool plays actually that caught me out. But generally, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The list just bullied him a little bit into, getting to the score I needed. So
yeah, that's part of the pairings process, part of teams 3 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then round 3, you were into the Netherlands, which was the other Chaos Knights. All of the Chaos Knights at this event, and 7 of the 8 teams took Chaos Knights, and the one team that didn't was England. They all took exactly the same list.
Yes.
It's a Stalker with sticky enhancement, 6 Brigands,
boring faction.
6 what's the other one? Carnivores.
Yeah. No, there was a slight difference with the USA list, actually. That's not true.
What did the USA list have? Those?
They had an extra Stalker with an extra enhancement.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually quite surprising. I don't know. My matrix for Chaos Knights, like, I'd rather not deal with it. And then one time I dealt with it, I was like, give me board choice and I'll smash it. Like,
they are quite oppressive for armies that can't handle them. Anyone that's played against them would know that. It's
yeah.
But I think I had them on green in pretty much every mission and everything because I just knew against my profiles, like, because we spoke to Ron after. I spoke to Ron and his teammate, and we were having a chat about the game after it happened. Yes, I definitely got lucky. There's no doubt the dice were in my favor in that game. But he was talking about the profiles, and he was like, I thought I could kill your Hearthguard, but then he actually sat there and thought about it. And he just doesn't do that much.
No, it just, like, if they're in cover, he gets you on 3-ups at best.
Yes.
But he's winning you on 4s.
Shag in front of him or somebody he hasn't happened to kill, then it's like not even extra AP, it's just like 2s, and then a couple of melter shots. We all know what melters can do. It's wounding on freeze because I'm a -1 to wound as well. So they comfortably can miss a lot, which they did. And then everything I do back to him, like Ufa solo the night.
Yeah, once you get into combat, that list just falls apart very quickly. I played.
It was a champ this whole weekend.
Yeah.
Is that sorry?
I'm starting to reevaluate my opinion of Chaos Knights, having played them a bit more with my list. I used to hate it for Guard. I used to hate the matchup. We really struggled with the high OC thing, but now I've got 85 bodies that I just throw out there. I'm like,
no,
okay.
you can OC them. You got
so like it was a day 2. I just like, we're putting Chaos Knights as a good matchup for me now. If I get board choice, I still think they could bully me if they get board choice, but
it's one of those matchups as well where you can definitely get some humble pie. Like you roll into them, you roll nothing but 1s and 2s, and they don't die.
It's a stat check list, and sometimes you just win.
And if they've got that extra few knights, they probably shouldn't have in inverted commas. Then you're just knackered. Lack of a better word, there's not a lot you can do. So there is always that risk of Chaos Knights, and I guess that's why they're a good team list because they can just bring you home that 18 points just out of nowhere they shouldn't have got. They just can.
And if you compare them well, they're fairly consistent, and it can make people pause.
Well, counterpoint, the reason we didn't take them is they can bring you home that 1 point.
Yeah, they can just go, I thought I could do it, and they can kill knights. Like, oh dear. Which I think is sort of inherent of any stat check list. I think CK are just a bit more skewed than anyone else in that regard. So that was your day 1. At the end of that, you guys, I believe, were 2-1. You lost to Belgium, but beat the other 2.
We lost to Belgium, yeah.
So you made the top cuts, as it were. So the way that the format works for home nations is basically depending on where you finish in WTC, everybody gets ranked, and then they get seeded into 2 pods, and the 2 pods will play on day 1. You'll play 4-man pods. You'll play all of your opponents, and the top 2 pods. So basically, the 2 teams that win twice go into pod 1 for day 2, and then the 2 teams from each pod that finish in the bottom half, they go into the lower pod for day 2. So England, in this case, having won 2 games, it was them and Belgium progressed into the upper pod, which was met by Scotland and the USA. So your day 2 is was the USA and then Scotland. So let's start with the US.
Indeed. So I got to play.
Oh, we'll yeah, we'll
What
not
do you
spoil
want to
anything.
do?
Yeah.
Go on then. You're the podcast guy. You tell me.
No. I was about to spoil like who won the whole event. So carry on.
Okay, no. Well,
You got to play.
I got to play someone I've been following and watching Warhammer and looked up to. I said this to his face because I think he was quite humbled. It was quite nice. To Nick Nanavati. I watched him for a very long time. He was the man when I started watching.
Did you tell him about your stream?
No, I didn't. There's too much going on, man. I mentioned this stuff to John Lennon as well and said the same thing. It's really cool getting to meet them. So I've never met them.
I had a good chat with John as well. They're very humble about it, which was nice.
And getting to play Nick Nanavati on Eldar, which is what he was famous for when I first started playing the game. So that was really good. Yeah, we had a great game. He was easily my favourite opponent the whole weekend. Like, not all of them were bad. Like, the 3 of the others were good. He was miles ahead of those, and there was one that was miles below. But we didn't go over that. But he was fantastic. And what he did actually, just a little sportsmanship sort of talk before we go into the game, is I didn't realise I did this, but he did it as well. And him doing it to me made me realise I'm doing it. And maybe it should become the norm. Every time he hit the clock, he would like, clock's back on you. Clock's back on you.
Yeah, that's really important.
And no one does that. And I do it. And I didn't realise. I've never played you with a clock.
Yeah.
Me and you have never played on the clock, not once. So, and it really made a huge difference because I was like, because one of my problems with the clock is I'm bad at this. I often get put on me and then I forget or don't notice it and it stays on me. And that is a huge issue with the clock with me. And just all the other stuff, all the interactions we had, it was just the most friendly game you'll ever see. It was like we were on stream and we were being watched by 1,000 people. Everyone, it was just brilliant. It was a really, really good game. It was a genuinely pleasant opponent to have. He said the same thing about me as well, so it was really cool. It was an awesome game.
Good, great, and you are lovely to play against, despite the fact you just look grumpy all the time.
And the parents are stood there and they were like, "Why does he look so grumpy?" I was like, "It's just my face."
He's just cosplaying as a dwarf. He's getting into the mentality.
Yeah, I must have a grumpy.
He is a Votan.
So
that was Yunari. How did that game unfold?
Yunari ran incoming. What a stupid army.
Lethal intent is fair.
It's not even about it being balanced. It's clearly beatable, as we discussed at the start. We didn't even take Yunari for that reason, right? However, it's beatable, but the way you beat it, or I nearly beat it, or probably should have, depending on if I got a bit more lucky with a few cards and stuff. It is what it is. I didn't fire a shot.
Yeah.
Till turn 5. I'm not exaggerating that. Not a single.
I've done the same. I've just not shot for 4 turns. I
spent the whole game not playing the game. That's not okay. There's no detachment in the game. You should be like, right, if you play the game, I'm going to punish you for it. That's not okay. That army absolutely needs to change and quick. Hopefully it won't until June probably at this rate, but it is what it is. It's not because it's too overpowered. It isn't. As we've, I don't think it's overpowered.
It interacts weirdly and badly. I think is the main thing.
It's badly. It's anti-fun. It takes the fun out of the game for me. We were both laughing about it the whole game. Me and Nick were having a good giggle about how I wasn't shooting anything. There's one point, I think it's turn 2. It was like I literally moved a model out of a stag and put it onto an objective. And I was all right. So if I shoot you, you move. He's like, yeah. If I fall back there, you move. Yeah. If I go there and if I charge that, you'll move there. Yeah. And literally. So I goes, well, that's my turn then.
Yeah, I played a game against Colin on stream last week. I did exactly that. I went, I'm going to run at you. I shot one thing, because it was where I thought they can't use the reactive moves and stuff. Didn't kill it, and I was like, right, well, I'm not killing anything else then. Your turn. I did that the next turn as well, and the turn after that. They're very uninteractive. And a good, somebody who is very well practiced with them can really, really, abuse it. Which is normally I'm fine with a high skill army being very strong, but this is different. It's very uninteractive and strong, which is
it's not about it being strong. It's just the right way to play the game is you not playing the game.
Yeah,
that's not fun. No. It's just I can't think of a good example to reverse it, but I think anyone gets the point who's played them. Like you're not supposed to shoot, which is just ridiculous. So it's like it shouldn't ever be that way. I don't think. So yeah, that's the Inari rant over. Apart from that, the game went really well. I thought I played it quite well, and Nick said I've played it excellently as well, which is really cool to hear from someone like him. I put him on 5s every turn by being quite smart about it. And Ufa was an absolute hero. He got a burn off in the bottom right, and Ufa was alive on 3 wounds in combat with the Incarn. And I fell back and charged with him. And he had 5 Reapers. He's only got 5 attacks. Shot my Volkite, didn't do anything. And he couldn't move it, obviously, because of a burning. And I charged him thinking, well, the chances of killing 5 Reapers with 5 attacks is pretty slim. So he got a 5 pinnacle as well. Managed to get all the hits through, and I rolled 3 6s, so they're dev wounds.
Nice.
Then I flipped 1 to another 6, and he had 1 5 up to make, and he made a 4 up. And he was like, so he stopped the burn. That was pretty cool. But I got to look back. I shot into a full unit of a couple of Banshees and an Autarch with a bike squad, and they were double judged, and the Autarch lived on 1 wound, and that's the one that ran away and got containment or something, and like started the burn. We helped do the burn with the walk spiders or whatever. So that was it was huge. The last turn, I think he got something like 31 points, something like that. It was like,
yeah,
because he went second, which was a big factor in that game. But otherwise, when you said if I went second, it probably would have been swung either way. But it is what it is. It was one of those games where we just sort of stood and looked at each other for 3 or 4 turns, and then he came out. And the damage he did to me when he came out, because he knows what to do, when to do it, and what order to do things on. And it really shows when you play someone who knows what they're doing, because the damage he was putting out, like, because he just was doing it all in the right order when he should be doing it on the right targets. And he's just like, oh, where's my army gone? Literally just disappeared in like a second. It's crazy.
Yeah, Eldar definitely can do that if they connect it in the right way and in the right order. The ordering is, I think, the most important thing. Nick is obviously very practiced with that, but for all of that, it wasn't. It was a fairly close game. I think it was 8-12 in the end, was it? So
yeah, it was really close.
I think that's a fantastic result against one of the best players in the world on one of the strongest factions when they're in a good, when they're in that caliber. So it's a very good shift from you there.
It could have been comfortably the other way as well. It was just one of those things. The cards, I didn't score very good cards at the end. He got really good cards. It was just one of those things. And so I'm really happy with the performance there. It could have been much worse. It could have been a little bit better. So yeah, I'm happy. It's good.
Good result. Which then means, unfortunately, England did lose that round, I believe.
Yeah, sadly.
Which meant
USA definitely come to play, didn't they?
Oh yeah. So home nations is typically certainly for the home nations, it's very much a testing stuff out and a selection event at the same time. And the US this year have very much looked at this as let's take something really nasty and use it, to test. They had a lot of big names, a lot of nasty lists, and they definitely came to play. They also had these like really cool pairing cards. They were just engraved metal.
They were amazing.
They were so cool. Like laser etched metal. It was phenomenal. We were very, very jealous.
What do you mean, Theo? I'm a lovely opponent. Look at what he said.
Yeah, I was just ignoring it. You might give him a judgment token. I don't want to.
Yeah, he's judged now. That's it. He's in the judge book.
So then your round 5, you played into Team Scotland and into the same Scottish bloke that I played against, Alan, who is.
He's a funny bloke.
He's really hilarious.
funny. He's hilarious. Captain.
I think he's like a co-captain.
You make comments about him being the captain or something.
Yeah, I think it's him and somebody else like co-captains now at the moment.
Again, he was a lovely opponent.
He was really my round 1 as well, and he was very much like the ideal, a very good round 1 opponent to have, because me and him had the same type of humor. We were laughing constantly.
Yeah.
Super chill with like takebacks and warning me about stuff that he could do and how it all stacks up. I did the same to him. Lovely guy, absolutely great opponent. But oh my god, when he does this really annoying thing. He goes, "I'm going to Overwatch. And it's going to be a 10," and he would just roll a 10, and he did it to me 3 times, and I was like, "Oh, this is not fun." But anyway, how did your game into him go?
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a really good game. All the same things you just said, takebacks and all that stuff was all go. There was one that I didn't give him a takeback on, which I felt a little bit bad, but I thought it was probably a bit too far. Maybe I'll say it out there. Maybe people can agree with me or disagree. So he drew Storm Hostile first turn and something else. I can't remember what it was. Not important. he did his whole turn, and he sent like so I came out to terraform. I put 2 things on 2 objectives, or 3 things actually. So I thought, well, he's got 3 objectives to get Storm on. So he went out and he put some stuff on. Didn't kill the Sag that he tried. Didn't kill the warriors that he tried to kill in the middle. And at the end of it, it was like, oh, I can get rid of Storm, can't I? Turn 1. I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, do you mind if I would have got rid of that? I wasn't trying to get it. And I was like, that was the end of his turn, and I was a bit like, I think you would be trying to get that. I believe that he wasn't trying to get it because like he didn't seem like the sort of person that would lie about that. It's
no,
not,
I think he'd be genuine about it, but also he has played his entire turn. Like,
and he could have got it if he got killed the Sag or the Warriors.
Yeah.
He would have got Storm, right? So
Yeah.
it's like I felt like it was a bit too much. I was like, oh,
I don't think I would have given that just because of the amount of information he's had, or it would have been a case of you can redraw it, but unless it's an action that you could have obviously done,
yeah.
You let's see if you just passively scored it.
Because that was the other part of it. What if we got someone that he had to move into the middle or whatever? It would have changed his whole turn. So
yeah, so I think you're very fair to not give that.
I felt bad though because he was a lovely guy.
Yeah, but like take backs, there's always a fine line about it, about how much do you give your opponent back, you know, at what point. My general rule of thumb
soft sometimes, and I've been trying to make myself less soft because of WGC. You've got to be a bit more cutthroat. You just have to. That's
you do, but you do it in the right way. Like there's
a
right way and a wrong way to be.
Like I believe that was the right way to be saying no.
I 100% agree. But it's
I'm not going to be like, oh, you forgot to fight with that. You're not going to get a swing now. No, I'm not that cutthroat.
Or if you talk about a charge, set it up and go, oh, charge, and then go, oh, do you want to just do that charge now because we've just resolved this here, but let's fix that. You know,
of course,
there's a right way about it. When I'm very glad that 40k is not in the point now where you've missed this very specific.
The community is great now. I love that conversation because it's so much better now than it used to be. It really is.
Except for Theo, who's just super chatted for the deodorant fund for your shirt.
Thanks, mate. I'll buy some white guard with that.
But thanks, Theo. But yes, so Alan with his Death Guard, it was like a mechanized Death Guard with Mortarion.
So I went first. I used my speed and scouts. Basically, I used the Jaegers to block off a bunch of his tanks, and then I terraformed them 2 objectives, which is what you're supposed to do on a terraform, let's be honest. And it worked. He couldn't. So what I did is I put Uther and his friends on the middle one. I knew they got more in the mode. Because what the good thing about Uther is, I haven't really mentioned it, it reduces all damage to 1. So
he's got 6 wounds?
5 wounds.
5 wounds.
So it's not easy to kill. So what I like doing in some games like that, where you can send them out and do an action first turn, or you want to get some primary that you're probably not going to get later on because it's a really open board or something. Send him to do it because then the chances of them killing him from far is really low. Like, you know, because you can, that 4-up invul strat, you can play that on a Carl or an Uther unit as well. So you can give that little unit a 4-up invul, which, you know, with a 6-up filler pain as well. It becomes quite tough to chew through, actually. Then you need some real dedicated shooting to get through that at that point. So
yeah, especially with the 10 ablative wounds or however many.
Yeah, and he tried to like indirect it to death and stuff, and it just didn't work because of the 4-up invul. So again, another plus point for the army. You wouldn't be able to do that.
And Uther has better leadership, doesn't he, as well?
Does he?
I don't. Well, I assume so because when Plague was small, did he forget to battle shock you after he indirected you every time?
No, he battle shocked me, but it doesn't matter, does it?
You still have to. Oh, yeah. If you've got another unit on that's controlling the objective, then no. Yeah, it's fine.
No, because by the time.
So if you're battle shocked, you don't control the objective anymore. So if Uther's the only thing on the objective and he's battle shocked, the action will fail.
I did fail it anyway, but I thought how it works is then because the battle shock would disappear in my command phase.
If for scoring, yes, but terraforming as an action completes at the end of your opponent's next turn if you are still in range of that objective and you still control it.
Well, I passed it anyway, but let's have a look at his date. Let's have a look at him.
Yeah, you would then on battle shock and score the main primary in your thing, but the terraforming stuff might not.
No, it's the same leadership as well. But yeah, I passed it anyway.
I thought I was being smart for a second then.
I think he gave up, so he shot it once, realised he wasn't going to get through it, and then started shooting my bikes.
Yeah, that's
what
happened. Plague Bus is not a great target to shoot into killing Hearthguard by warriors by volume.
So what happened then is I got a big lead, did the usual, spoke to my coach, pointed at like a 14, 15, 4. That's where it's going to go. So I was blocking him, it was going really well. But then, like turns 3 to 4, my army just disappeared.
Mine did
I
exactly the
don't really
same
know what
thing.
happened. It was like,
It's because it's Plague Storm or Shitstorm as I like to call it.
yeah,
And they've got basically they take the minus save enhancement, and then they've got a strat that strips cover. And if you're in range of an infected objective marker, you're also at +1 AP or something like that.
yeah,
So he can just randomly out of nowhere get to AP6 or
yeah,
AP4 on his auto cannons, which is
yeah. It was
not good for
brutal.
Votan,
No,
and
it
it's
was brutal.
really not good for
My
Gar.
army just went poof. I was like, I looked down. I was like, hang on a minute. I'm struggling here. I've got
Yeah,
nothing left. We've got some bikes and a bit of
with
warriors.
like
And
Morty ignoring modifiers and
so sadly,
this and
the
that sort of
last
stuff.
two turns, I spent move blocking and just being a pain in the arse, so we couldn't come back into the game too much. And I ended up being 11-9. But I was like, what the hell happened there?
Yeah.
It just went. I was like, okay. So fair play to him. He did that really well. But yeah, that was my tournament. It went pretty well. Sadly, the first game made it a bit sour at first, but luckily that was my first game, so I got to forget it by the time I left.
That's it. Yeah, because this is not your first international tournament, is it? You were at Battle of Britain, but it's like I think the first more serious one. Battle of Britain was very much a warm up and a blooding ground.
It's my first 8-player tournament, actually.
Is it? Oh, there you go. Yeah. How did you find that then? Going from 5-man teams to 8-man teams.
I don't know if it was the venue or the event or less coaches than we normally have. I felt quite lonely in a way, like I didn't really know what was going on.
No, that's
you
not.
Find that in eights, you don't. In fives, you seem to understand what's going on a little bit more. With eights, it was like what I didn't. I was like, I felt a bit like on a little island on my own in my own little game, and that was that.
Even with more coaching staff, those problems still happen. It is like even if you've got enough coaches, the big challenge is try and analyze 8 games at once and then figure out who do we go and ask to push. So some people who are just sort of plodding along, getting very reliable scoring and stable scoring, they sort of just get left to do with it and give us a shout if something's a problem. But other than that,
that's pretty much what happened to me. There was a funny point. I can't remember which team was against. It might have been Belgium or Netherlands, where Dave, the coach, came over, and it wasn't his fault. He blamed it on Tony, actually. And he came over and he's like, right, can you push? We need some more points. I was like, yeah, sure. And he did the same for the Jack Tight. So I just pushed. I sent all my army out. I was like, I wasn't going to go for it, but I sent them out. I think it was against the Knights. So I thought, I'll go kill more Knights this turn. Let's go for it. Could have gone a little bit wrong. Could have gone well. And then literally about 3 minutes later, he come back over. 4 minutes after I've moved everything, he was like, you don't need to push anymore. So it's a bit late now. and Jack had wagged and advanced his whole army out. He's like, can't really say that back, Dave.
Yeah, because that's the thing when so in teams generally, and if somebody says push, they're not saying try and get 2 more points. They're saying get your whole army in there and see what see what happens.
Yeah, push
you need to swing up.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I've also been on the receiving ends of you need to push. I was like, how badly do I need to push? We need every point we can get, and and that's like right. Hail Marys, we're going for everything. I'm not going for 12-inch charges, but I'll start lining up a few 9-inch charges, for example, which normally I don't do if I can avoid it.
It is one problem I found with my Hearthbound list. I struggled to push. Like I didn't feel like there was much wiggle room. I was already going for it just to get the scores I was getting. If that makes sense.
Because they're quite a slow army.
Playing that quite slow, but everyone else, I was already sort of going right. Let's try and get as many points as I can. And there was not much more to it. It's like you're already at max speed,
I think with the game being a lot more balanced than it is, and it's generally speaking, matchups tend to be a lot more stable now. So there is a lot less wiggle room that you get in, with some notable exceptions, like CK just going, oh well, they failed all the battle shocks, so I've run them over or whatever. More balanced matchups tend to be very, very stable. Certainly a lot more drawish. I think we've seen that from the start of 10th really compared to 9th, which was very volatile. Coming in here, everything's much more stable and everybody's playing a lot more defensive 40k than ever before. The new maps are more open in some in some places, which is making people play more defensive rather than more aggressive.
Yeah, it's really hard, and I think that's quite a skill to find an army in a list, plus have the play style to push. I think it's really, really difficult to.
Yeah, it's a very. I think you're like me. We play very methodical, very conservative. To get 20 O's, you basically just have to go 100% full throttle from the rip.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I think because obviously I play with Naz, who's probably one of the best players in the world to do this sort of thing. He does it every game, even in singles. But I watch him play, and it's very calculated. It looks like he's just gone ooga booga full send. He hasn't.
No, it's very aggressive staging, but all the lines are all protected and stuff. It's a very different skill and play style to how the majority of people play 40k. So that was your event. I assume, massively enjoyed it. England, I think you guys came second or third, was it?
Came third, yeah.
Third. Behind Team USA and Belgium.
It's right there, I would think, because of the way the pairings work.
But the placings are currently wrong if you look on BCP, because after day one, when you seed into the two pods, pod one, so the people that won 2 games in day one, they're going to be 1 to 4 no matter what, and then everybody else is going to be 4 to 6. So Team Ireland currently show us finishing. We may be a bad example here.
You came 4th.
No, we came 5th. We came behind.
Oh right, okay, yeah, because you.
Yeah, so it's currently showing us as we're 5th, but actually we did finish 5th anyway, because it went USA, who won it, undefeated, Belgium with 1 loss, England with 2 losses, and then Scotland being the lowest.
So it should be England and Scotland then, basically.
Yeah, so you guys came 3rd, then Scotland, and then it was Netherlands, Ireland, Northern Ireland, and Wales at the bottom.
Right. I see.
Yeah, so congratulations to Team USA for winning the event.
Yeah, well, they did really well.
Yeah, they did very, very well. And Belgium narrowly behind. Belgium, I think, surprised a lot of people with how strong they've always been a very strong team.
I don't think that surprised me. I thought that was about as good as they are, because they are that good. I mean, Liam, they've got Liam yourself.
Yeah, they've got Liam, but the rest of their team as well, I think, performed a lot better than they have previously. They were pushing differences a lot more than they have in previous tournaments I've seen them at. Not saying they were bad then; they were still a very good team.
No, but they were really good. They were
exactly that. Cool. So, I guess going forward, if it's not going to give away any secrets, that you spoke briefly about some changes that you'd make about this. Are there anything you're going to immediately change, or are you sticking with Votan, or are you looking at other factions going forward?
I'm going to have a little tinker with the Hearthbound and try and. I don't think that's its final form. There's probably a better list I can make out of it. There's little things like adding, I even thought about this today. If you add a champion to a 5-man unit, you're like, oh no, they won't get the AP, but they will, because the Hearthguard give
it to the and then the mass hammer can get +1 damage as well, or even the axe. The axe going to damage 3 is probably.
That's what I was like. Which one should I go on, the axe or him? Because the mass hammer then will be AP 3 and D6 +2 damage, which is. It's really nice. You do lose the lethals though, which is a huge part of.
I think on a 5-man skirmish unit though,
that's what I need to test.
Yeah, maybe that looks back to Volkite for the volume or something like that.
I thought about taking 3 Carls that go in the little warrior units instead, having 3 lots of the warrior units.
Oh yeah, the special
weapons. Just the same thing that UFO was doing, and just gives you these really strong 120-point skirmish units, and. They give people judges as well, because it's 2 units. You send them into something like, I don't know, let's say 8-bounder on the way, right? We all know it. They kill that unit plus the Carl. That's 2 judgments done.
Thank you. Yeah. So it's a very creative solution to the problem of the detachment struggles with judgment tokens sometimes. So I'm very, very excited to see what you do with the list, and hopefully we'll get it on the stream at some point, because I know that there's not much in the way of Votan content out there, so it'd be good to get them back on the channel.
Yeah, it'd be good. I'd
sure. Do that. Are there any, before we sign off, are there any call-outs, shout-outs, or the rest of it that you'd like to do?
Yeah, just generally to the team. I've been an extremely positive experience. I got to do something we don't really do very often. We never really get time, it seems, but we got to do some cool socializing at the end. We were all having some drinking games and stuff, which is really cool. I was really, really enjoyed it. I had a great time. And a big shout out for me. I bet a lot of people haven't even heard of him, but Dave McLeod is the one of the coaches.
Dave is.
He puts in so much work for Team England. He's like the unsung hero, man. He does everything. He's brilliant. He really is.
He's the one I swapped my jersey with at WTC last year, actually.
Yeah, he is the backbone of England. I'm telling you,
puts in so much work.
he
He always
does.
has a smile on his face. He's all,
Yeah, and he doesn't want any thanks or he probably wants recognition, obviously, but he doesn't go begging for it. He just does what he does. So no chance he'll get back to him. Probably isn't watching this, but if he ever does, then thank you, Dave. You're an absolute legend. You really are.
Perfect. So and well, thank you from me, Ray, to you for coming on the stream, talking about your experience at Home Nations. It's always a pleasure to have you on. Like I say, hopefully we'll get you on the back playing before too long. And thank you to you guys at home for watching and for putting up with us for the last 45 minutes, an hour or so. If you did enjoy it, make sure you hit that like button. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified every time we go live. I try to go live every Tuesdays and Thursdays. Obviously, when there are international events, that schedule does change because there's a lot of travel, and then it takes a lot more energy. I've found. We were talking about before the stream started. We were both utterly wiped out on Monday. But hopefully, you guys have enjoyed this content, the Talking Heads content, and the teams focused content. If you want to support the channel directly, as we discussed at the start of the stream, there are several ways you can do that with super chats, super thanks if you're watching on demand, or memberships. I strongly suggest memberships because there is behind the scenes tier. You get to see what I'm working on. I have some new shinies that I'm going to take a photograph tomorrow to hopefully get on the channel before too long. And super chats and super thanks are just a great way of throwing money at my head. If you want to support the channel indirectly, please go and check out either Mighty Melee Games or Resin War Games. Supporting them supports me, and all the links will be in the description down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.